Oh, fuck. Hey. Hi. Hello. Before the video starts, I just want to say I have a Twitch channel. Yeah, I don't have the most consistent streaming schedule ever. Sorry if you watch me here all the time or occasionally. You could tell I'm not good with consistency. But it's fine. I stream when I can. I do art streams, I play some games, sometimes I play with some friends. It's a time, I guess. So come see me on Twitch. You'll at least see me there a little bit more often than YouTube, at least for a little while, that's for sure. Anyway, back to this month-old oh my god, this video was written in October, oh god. Alright, so when I started writing this video on October 11th, this was like not long after Sora got revealed for Smash. That's how long I've been sitting on this. You know what has happened in this time? Goddamn Kingdom Hearts 4 got announced! What is this? What am I looking at? Oh, whoa, holy, what? The Sora's feet? I really need to make videos faster. Ever since then, I've been on a really high Kingdom Hearts kick, been watching people's reaction videos and watching other people experience the games for the first time. I am a huge fan of the series. It's one of the earliest games I remember playing as a kid. Getting stuck in Olympus because me and my brother didn't pay enough attention and being in constant young anguish. I've been wanting to make a Kingdom Hearts video for a while now, but I never really knew what to talk about, and I wanted to make sure I could edit at least on a decent level so I wouldn't completely hate looking at it like I do my old Mario Kart video. But now, after watching some people go through the series for the first time and having the same past thought resurface now because of that, it only feels right to talk about it now. Does Kingdom Hearts actually need to be tied to Disney anymore? And to an extent, does it even need Final Fantasy characters anymore? I think there's enough layers to warrant a conversation, and I think I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. I think it's fair to say that the story has outgrown Disney, and it has a while ago. Like maybe as early as Chain of Memories or KH2. The obvious thing about this series was that it was built on top of Disney and Final Fantasy as its foundation. KH1 made the Disney worlds matter the most out of any other game because the villains in the world were also after you. They had a whole ass agenda and they were plotting together. That scene where they were all in a circle just talking shit was like the most unified Disney has ever been with the series. After that, going through them in basically any other KH game is just a means to an end. The only ones that might have any other decent attachment to the Disney stuff is maybe Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, as much as people hate that game. In Birth by Sleep, the bulk of the game was the three of them going on a wild goose chase to catch up with one another. Well, it's more like Aqua chasing her dogs to stop them from eating shit, and well, that didn't work out so great. But that's not the point. That chase happened in the Disney worlds, and they were all interacting with the Disney characters, so Aqua shows up to, like, Neverland and find Ven's toy Keyblade. It's pretty good. In Dream Drop, a big point of that game, plot-wise at least, was the organization fucking with Sora in the Disney worlds to make him dive even deeper and deeper. So that's kinda something. A bit of a stretch for that one, but let's just roll with it for now. I say Chain of Memories outgrew the Disney stuff because that's when they introduced Organization 13, and the mystery behind them and what they're doing is a much bigger focus than the Disney characters. Even though that's true, Disney is still actually tied pretty well into this game, and it's all because of our resident sad boy Riku. This was the game that really kicked off basically his whole character arc, and a big help to that was the mouse himself. At the end of the first game, Riku ended the game with Mickey, and in Chain of Memory, Mickey is there to basically bring Riku back to reality when shit starts getting out of hand. At the end of it all, Riku and Mickey leave Castle Oblivion together to work on business, and that even carries over to 358 over 2 days, but the Disney worlds really don't matter in that game either. I don't even remember how much Mickey shows up aside from being a playable character post-game, so that game ain't relevant. Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora, Donald, and Goof are traveling the Disney world to find Riku and Mickey. That's a huge chunk of the story, but after that game, you'd be really hard-pressed to figure out why Disney really matters in these games. 358 over 2 days, Recoded, Union, Melody of Memories, probably. I didn't play that one, I just watched the cutscenes. And KH3, all traces of Disney are basically useless. And look, KH2 and Dream Drop are kind of stretching it, so if you want to throw them in this, you might as well. What the worst offender of useless Disney World is could be argued about, but KH3 was the most recent game, and it honestly felt the most obvious out of every game. It was a culmination of like, what, 9 games? It was the title every fan was waiting for fucking years, and since it was the end to an entire saga, the plot was pretty important. Considering that, they made the smart move to leave everything everyone cared about for the end game. Yeah, That was a good call. Cage 3 had a slew of problems, but that's not the point here. That game had possibly the worst pacing in any Cage game. And even though other games might not have great pacing, they at least do a decent job in giving you meaningful plot here and there. People can talk the shit they want about 358, but it did a better job at giving real plot throughout its entire game than 3 did. Actually, the same could be said with Dream Drop since Axel was doing a whole lot of work in the background. Look, point is, a lot of the time the Disney worlds get in the way of the main plot, and it's relegated to the end game where it feels like a lot of stuff is cramped in. Yeah, Donald and Goofy are always with you. I get that. Except they weren't in almost all of the handheld games. And that was perfectly fine. I didn't lose anything for them not being there. Birth by Sleep had Disney characters be Links, sure, but you could go the entire game without even using them. Honestly, past the first Kingdom Hearts game, the most prevalent Disney things going on are Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and fucking Pete and Maleficent. And they've barely done anything since 2. Mickey has been intertwined with the story of Kingdom Hearts since Birth by Sleep, which is one of the earliest games in the timeline, and he shows up anywhere he could. So considering all of that, can we get an answer to the main question? Maybe, but I want to talk about Final Fantasy first, because they're just as important. Kingdom Hearts Foundation is Disney and Final Fantasy, and I know I said that already, but it needs to be reiterated. When Cage 3 came out and none of the previous Final Fantasy characters showed up in the base game, people were pissed. I, personally, wasn't really affected by it. I feel like there was already too much going on in the main story that it didn't feel like they needed to be there, and I still believe that to an extent, but I'll explain that feeling a bit more later. But the more I thought about it recently, and the more I spoke about it with a friend, yeah, they were pretty fucking important too. Again, KH1 made these characters pretty important and integrated into the KH universe a lot more than Disney was. That group fucking educated Sora on the Keyblade. Like, they knew what the hell was going on, and in KH2, that knowledge and information dumping was just as relevant. Shit, the halfway point of the game was one of the most epic moments of the whole series with the Thousand Heartless fight and the lead up to it, and it included fighting with Final Fantasy characters and not Disney ones. There were even characters to compete against in the Olympus games. As cool as that is, Final Fantasy has only made an appearance in the first 3 games, BBS, and KH3. If my memory serves me wrong, well, fuck me, I guess. Just take me out on a good meal first and make me feel something inside, even for a moment before you do. Anyway, what were we talking about? So some Disney characters are more relevant than others, and aside from KH1, the Disney World implementation is just kinda bad. Aside from the first 3 games, the Final Fantasy characters don't really show up, but when they do, they have a good reason to be there, and it's pretty damn good. So, can these series live without these 2 juggernauts of a series? Yes. But also no. I want to talk about Final Fantasy first just because that seems easier to do. As important as they were, it felt like the end of KH2 gave that set of characters enough closure for them to not need to show up again, but making it perfectly acceptable for them to pop back in if they felt like it. Riku didn't need to go to them about doing research for Sora since Ienzo is a good dude now, and became the resident smart computer guy, but again, there wasn't really any harm in bringing them back. Young Zack in Birth by Sleep wasn't really there for any significant reason other than to be fan service and keep the Final Fantasy crossover thing true. If he wasn't there, I don't think they would have to work too hard to change that Olympus world to fit the narrative, especially since young Hercules is also there. They couldn't even allude to anything since he never shows up in previous games. Just remembered actually, they used Auron in KH2 and I think that worked really well. So it ain't impossible to throw in a Final Fantasy character in a random world and make it work. I think it could have been perfectly fine if they introduced a new set of Final Fantasy characters at some point, but Nomura has a hard-on for using characters he made, so we might be limited. They used World Ends With You characters in Dream Drop, and I thought that was a really nice change of pace, and it probably introduced a bunch of people to that series. I don't know how big the series was before it showed up in KH, but I saw it pop up a lot more after the fact. I don't think the series needs Final Fantasy characters anymore, but I don't think it's holding the series back by any means. And because I'm slow with this video, Nomura actually got interviewed and made a comment about implementing Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts now. So, make of this statement what you will. You should probably just read the full article, honestly. It's actually pretty good. Disney, on the other hand, that's a different story. Everything that happened in every Kingdom Hearts game could happen with original content, without a doubt. Disney characters that stayed prevalent throughout the games could be changed with original characters and could serve the same purpose. They could even be more interesting characters since they aren't tied to anything, and could even be more directly involved in the larger story. Maleficent and Pete might still be around, but they're just chilling in the background since other original characters are being more involved out of necessity. Donald and Goofy as party members might be something significant that's lost, but we'll pull through as people. The only glaring thing we miss out on is the charm it gives off while playing. And that's the biggest thing. They might not have any story significance, but cool shit happens, and sometimes that's not so bad. Exploring Beast's castle and having a dope-ass boss fight in the dance hall, fighting titans in Olympus, riding the magic carpet in Agrabah, Sora being straight up punched in the face in Mulan and then going bare-knuckle brawl in Caribbean, like that shit's funny! Just being a part of the world of Nightmare Before Christmas and seeing the outfits change is straight up cool. You become a lion in Pride Lands! What the fuck? Timeless River might be a kinda not great world overall, but seeing the classic cartoon style gives me the most uncomfortable form of joy. Literally nothing happens in 100 Acre Woods, but people love it just because it's Winnie the Pooh. San Francisco is such a natural continuation and blend of the main movie and game, and if you like Big Hero 6, you're really gonna like what happens here. Singing in Atlantica. Wait, no, not that one. Cut that one out. Being in some of the Disney environments and being in a Disney World that was done well and is fun is nothing but a good time. Kingdom Hearts can be annoying, it's without a doubt unnecessarily convoluted, but it's undoubtedly charming. How charming it is really depends on you and your attachment to Disney, of course, but it's there. I mentioned it before, and it's how not good the pacing can be for some of these games. I think that one thing is a bigger issue than questioning if either of these franchises deserve to be in this series or not. Looking at KH3 again, going through the Disney World was kind of stressful just because of how little we got in terms of story, but I think that massive blow was softened even just a bit because the worlds were Disney and had some of that Disney charm. I think it's perfectly possible to remove Disney and come up with original, interesting worlds with something distinct about them. The problem is, if they aren't interesting, they're just boring and another section you have to chug through. At least with some of the bad Disney worlds, you can look at Disney stuff going on. It's a safety net for one, but it's also half the reason this series got its start. If Kingdom Hearts was wholly original, like I said it could have been, there's no telling if the original would have just become another one of those random JRPGs that YouTubers talk about and title it something like Kingdom Hearts, the RPG you never heard of, or some bullshit. But what about now? I already answered that for the Final Fantasy characters, and the question for the video applies for the future of the series. KH3 ended in a way that made it seem like Disney was completely irrelevant to everything. If anything, it gives off more World Ends With You vibes considering Sora and Riku end up in Shibuya. Now, we don't know shit about the next Kingdom Hearts game, and we probably won't for a while, so all we can do is guess.
Except now we do, because I'm fucking slow.
But again, could the series move forward without Disney? I think so? I think the game would take a really different direction and the flow of the game would be completely different too. The story could happen in like one big ass location with sections in it, kind of like how FF15 did it, but I seriously doubt that'll happen. I can just see more possibilities without Disney than I can with, at least with how KH3 ended. How are Dundle and Griffey supposed to meet up with Sora? Depending on what version of Shibuya we end up in, how much sense would it make to travel to Disney worlds? We're also at a point where we have so many characters and plot threads that Disney worlds with zero plot are just gonna eat away at our time. If we only get plot dumps like 5 out of the 20 plus hours these games could go for, then we'll never get to the fucking point. I might say that I think it could survive, and I think I believe it more than I don't, but I can't get that voice in the back of my head reminding me of the Disney charm. A part of me feels like too many people came in because of the Disney, but then stood for the original characters. Kinda like come for the porn, stay for the plot kind of thing, you know? The series would feel like such a different game that people just might miss the Disney stuff and it makes it not as interesting. Shit, I might even fall into that. Keeping up with the development of KH3 and being there when they revealed the new worlds was exciting. That's not something we would get anymore without Disney. So as much as I say I think the series could live on without Disney, I guess I sit more on the fence than anything. If you're super attached to the series like I am, toss your 2 cents in, I'd love to hear it. But considering how late I was to making this and 4 got revealed, leave your 2 cents on that too. People are pointing out Star Wars being a thing now, Donald, Goofy, and Disney seems to still be part of the franchise, and Sora is still fucking dead. Totally dead. 100%. Hey, yo, what the fuck is this series, man? Jesus Christ!